We always see the ship, but seldom see the propeller, and that's a pity because they're a real feat of engineering and artistic design. Hello, this is Dr. Roderick Sampson from King Propulsion with an introductory blog post, video blog, as you would say, on a series that we're going to be doing on our website on all things propulsion, varifold propellers, history of propellers, naval architecture, and that kind of thing. And this is really the introductory one, giving a little background on who I am and why I'm doing this. And so for this one, we're asking the question, why propellers are so cool. Now, this is a question I try to answer all the time, but I can't. Every day there's some new project, a new design that we've come across, or really great photos posted on the web of these devices that have been around since 1804. The one just popped up is actually from 1840, and they still look high-tech from the designs. Okay, some of them clearly don't, but we'll get to that as well. But there have been as many people claiming the invention of as there are propeller designs, and that's really what we wanted to cover in one of the series, was who designed the propeller. And this has always been a fascination for me. Now, this fascination has taken me to cruise ships. I apologise for the pictures in advance. There we go, that's what I look like. Over 10 years, I'm getting older. This is the history of me as well as the history of propulsion. Goodness. So it took me to cruise ships. I spent more time in the engine room chatting to the engineers than I did as the chief photographer. I used to hang out with them, and they always recommended it. I went back to university. So I really... I was started on the fascination of cruise ships, and then went to university as a sponge for anything hydrodynamic, and really then out into the real world for the second time as a naval architect. But my university was Newcastle University. That's quite a well-respected university in my field. This is the Tyne Bridge and the department in the bottom there. And I was very fortunate to be under supervision of a real fine gentleman called Professor Mehmet Atla, who is a good friend of mine, even to this day. Did bachelor's, master's, PhD in the department. And in the cavitation tunnel is where I ended up. I kept asking more questions once I finished one degree, and it kind of snowballed into there. The bottom left is me after not too much sleep and far too much work inside the tunnel setting an experiment up. But it's a propeller testing facility, and that's really my background. I actually did a PhD on propeller-ice interaction in the facility. But as with all things, I decided I needed a change and to venture out of the shadow of the university and go into industry, as academics call it. I just wanted to get into the real world. But before we get into that, one of the nice things about the university was they had this propeller series and this fascinating history. When you talk about propeller design these days, very few people design propellers. Propeller design is a very ambiguous term. So what you see here is actually a series of designs called the King's College Admiralty Series, or KCA, or Gornborough, depending on where you come from. And it's a high-speed craft series. And I was very fortunate to be custodian of these actual original designs, and we made sure we got them out on display and told people about, their history and how they've contributed to the state of the art and that sort of thing. So that really stayed with me, the King's College, which was actually the old name for Newcastle University side of things. And if you look on the left of the pictures there, there's a blue box with looks like a donut on the front. That's actually a replica of the first cavitation tunnel, the Parsons cavitation tunnel. So a lot of history going on in Newcastle, and this really stayed with me. So the company, King Propulsion, it was an homage to King's College in Durham. I just thought it would be a really nice fit. But before that, this is some of the designs I want to talk about in future blog posts, and just get into some of the fun side of things. This is one of my more pleasurable lecturers when I worked at the university as a lecturer, giving to the students, saying, who designed the propeller? And it really left it up to the students' minds of, who was responsible. Because the bottom right is actually the one that's credited in European textbooks anyway, by Petit Smith. But his contemporary was Ericsson, who was in the middle on the bottom row. And the middle on the bottom row looks like a modern propeller. The Archimedes screw looks like nothing. The ceramic tile is actually a trial between HMS Rattler and HMS Selector, two British warships. One had paddles and one had screw propulsion. And this was really when the Admiralty got it for screw propulsion, and they made the switch. There's a classic duel where the propeller-driven ship towed the paddle wheel vessel backwards 2 knots an hour or something. So it's, again, we'll get into that further because it's a fascinating story. Top right is actually I showed you that in a few slides ago. That's actually a propeller from the Great Britain, Isambard Kingdom Brunel ship. And the first one is one of my favourites. And how I think invented the propeller was Colonel Stevens. He's connected to Isambard Kingdom Brunel, but 1804 he had this vessel. You can just see the propellers on the bottom of the picture, and he was doing ferry trips across the Hudson. Absolutely no problem at all. And these guys were, the other guys at that time were nowhere near, sort of thing. So that's a little bit of the history which we're going to get into. So as for my background, why we switched to icebreakers, working in the Emerson Cavitation was an absolutely fantastic experience. And as I said, I wanted to get out into industry. And Jim St. John at Science and Technology Corporation was very kind enough to search me out and offer me a position with his company, looking into icebreaking propellers and all that sort of stuff. So we worked for a government consultant. Main client was the US Coast Guard, so we had terrific fun working on the icebreakers and all the cutters and stuff, doing not too much propeller work. We did a lot of structural work, which was always good to understand the other side of things. But I did get to do some cavitation observations in full scale, which was absolutely really fascinating to see. But this is about King Propulsion. So what we're looking at now, it's a very full propeller. This is what we're interested in at the moment. It's a folding sailboat propeller for a yacht. So I like to think of King Propulsion. We're quite a quirky company with many strings to our bow, and I quite like that. We're consulting naval architects covering full-scale measurements, most things related to powering, but we're very fortunate to represent Brunson's Propellers and Stone Marine Propulsion, two leading propeller companies from the UK. And they have a propeller within their range called the Verifold, which is a really neat and really unique. I'll show you it folding. There you go. It kind of opens and closes. This is actually upside down. Obviously, the leg would be inside the hull of a yacht, sort of thing. So it's a folding yacht propeller. When the yacht's under sail, this thing is not under an engine. The blades just fold backwards, and then as once you turn the engine on, they come out and become a propeller. So that has the advantage of being a very, very low drag system. It's often been asked, why is a guy with a PhD selling propellers? At the moment, we obviously do consultancy and other things as well, but I'm passionate about my field, and it's a process, and I genuinely enjoy engaging with the customers. They're absolutely unique people, and I'm passionate, and it just works. This is more from my background. It's a propeller test done in the cavitation tunnel, and this is the sort of thing that all propellers will do. This helical spiral pattern is it's just a beautiful phenomenon from the propeller working. It's a vortex shed off the various parts of the propeller. There's many different types. I think I can show you some footage now. This is from my PhD sort of thing. And it's every time the propeller spins one revolution, you take one photo, one revolution, one photo, and then like a movie, you paste them all together, and you get this this viewing of this beautiful bubbles. And these are actually negative pressure bubbles, cavitation. And this is the background that I have, which has taken me from the icebreakers, from the cavitation tunnel, the university, and now with Brunson's sailboat propellers. And then more recently with, this is last September, this is actually looking through a porthole on the research vessel for Newcastle University called the Princess Royal. We drilled a couple of quite large holes in the back, put some portholes in above the propellers, and shone some lights and some cameras through and see what we achieved. So this is real full scale. You're looking at the rudder stock there, and you can see the propeller hub there, and there's a bit of a blade. When she's actually running at full speed, this is the sort of thing you're seeing. So it's been a real fortunate thing for me, because having been on ships all my life and hearing these noises of the cruise ships coming in and out of harbour and wondering what on earth that sound that was like a tumble dryer full of quarters was, it's been interesting to see the phenomena, measure it and then quantify it and try and understand it. But it's also interesting as well, because it's taken me full circle from cruise ships, using my photography skills to photograph people on holiday, to being able to throw the light around through portholes in very difficult circumstances, and photograph these events. I mean, we couldn't do this 10 years ago. I mean, this is the sensitivity of the film just wasn't there, or you'd have too grainy, and it's really, really difficult. It's just everything's been miniaturized now, so it's becoming possible. And this is the fun thing about the company now, King Propulsion. So we're really enjoying getting into this side of things. So we have the two sides with the yacht sales and the naval architecture and the consultancy, and I'm really just wanting to put all that together nicely into a little weekly or a little bi-weekly blog, just to put some information across. So that's a little bit about what we want to do. So that's I'm very big on people getting in touch and starting a conversation. So you have my email address there. I will answer any emails I can. Our blog address is up on the site. We have a Twitter at King Propulsion. We're on Facebook as well, so we'll post all these videos, YouTubes, wherever we start to get them out, and lecture notes I plan to put up, and then in past paper presentations, and as much information as we can, covering all aspects of the business. So it'll cover Varifold, it'll cover the consultancy, the ice milling, some PhD stuff. So it's real. If you have a fascination for propulsion, I think you might like listening to what we have to say. But until next time, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.